Hello and welcome to Griftic Gaming. We are going to continue from the last video that explained some basic mechanics and info. This video is going to revolve around taming and breeding. But first we will start by explaining creature levels and level distribution. For this video we will use a dodo. All creatures start off at level 1. This is called the base level and is mandatory. All creatures get spawned into the world at level 1 before the game starts. This is on the loading screen. Then the game randomly allocates levels to each creature. On top of this, each stat gets a random amount of levels out of the total levels just allocated by the game. This ensures that you will get different stats on the same level dinos. If we use the standard official server settings, the wild max level creature that you can get is a 150, with the exception of wyverns, rock drakes, event creatures, corrupted creatures, tech creatures, titans, jerboas, leads ichthyes, and alpha leads ichthyes. Remember that these 150 levels are random just as the stats that is allocated to these levels. This means that you have no control over what stat gets how many levels in them. This is called the 150 wild levels. Then you can tame the creatures and receive an extra 74 bonus tame levels if everything goes well. We will talk later about how to get the max bonus levels when taming. For now, know that these levels are linked to the taming effectiveness that we will also explain later. The stat points that you get from these 74 levels are also assigned automatically and randomly, meaning you have a creature of level 224 with 223 stat points randomly assigned. On top of this random factor, there is a pitfall that can break even the best of tames. Wasted levels. This is levels that is in a stat that a creature can't use. For example, flying creatures can't go underwater, which means that the oxygen stat is going to be useless, and the more points it has in that stat, the less points it has to put into another stat. So now that we have the basics out of the way, let's look at some example creature stats. This level 2 dodo has one stat point assigned to the health stat. If we have a level 145 dodo with all the stat points in health, this is what it would look like. Not that this will happen in the game due to the random factor. Rather, this will be a general creature's stat layout. Now let's say you have a level 150 wild dodo that you want to tame and you get the full 74 bonus levels. It can go two ways, either bad or good. Notice that the bad stats look good because everything is green. But that means that there are points in everything, even the stats that you are not going to use, and that is bad. The good stats, on the other hand, is more focused, and the health stat has 60 levels. This, by the way, is the minimum amount of stat points that an alpha tribe on PvP servers look at before considering a creature as breeding material. Now that we know what leveling involves, we can make a following assessment pertaining to taming versus breeding. Taming requires the player to scour the map looking for a max level creature, then hope that the stats are acceptable once tamed. While you have no control over where the points are going, it also requires you to have good gear and backup to be able to get the best level after the taming is done. Breeding does not require time in running around the map, but it requires somewhat boring and mundane sitting around a base waiting for the babies to mature. and it also takes a lot of time rebreeding the same creatures over and over until you get it right. Then you have some control over where the points go after you did the first few generations of breeding. It's also good to note that you won't have any creatures to breed if you don't tame them first. You have different ways of taming creatures. Taming by knockout. This is the most common type of taming, and most creatures are tamed in this way. It uses one of the weapons mentioned in the previous video that does torpor damage as well as regular damage. Once you have the creature unconscious, you have to feed it its favorite food to make it like you, as well as force feed it some narcotics to keep it unconscious. If it wakes up before it completely tamed, you have to start over. This is the info for taming a 150 dodo. You can see the different knockout methods, amounts that is needed to knock out the creature, the amount of food it's going to consume, and the number of narcotics necessary to keep it unconscious until it is tamed. The time it's going to take is also displayed, and all of this info is for official settings. This means that these values are going to be different on my game due to the fact I changed my settings so that it does not take us 10 hours to tame a Rex. The next taming method is passive taming. This is when the creature needs to be fed while awake. Once you figure out what the specific creature's favorite food is, you have to put it in your 0 slot on the hotbar. Then the game will prompt you to feed the creature once it's hungry. After a few successful feedings, you will gain a friend. Then you've got turret taming. This is when a creature is so huge that normal knockout methods fail and you need something bigger. Then you use a turret weapon like a cannon and shoot for the head, which will make the creature fall unconscious and the standard feeding can start. The last taming method we are going to discuss in this video is egg stealing. This method is used on some special creatures where you have to steal a fertilized egg out of the nest and hope you can run faster than the parents, after which you have to hatch the baby and let it grow up. There are other taming methods as well as a few special creatures that we are not going to cover in this video, but we will tame some of them in the Let's Play part of this series. The next thing we will discuss is taming food. Different creatures use different foods to tame, and some have favorite food that will do a better taming job than other food. So you have non-edible food, edible food, favorite food, and kibble. Non-edible food is when you try and feed berries to a carnivore. He will refuse to eat the berries and either wake up or starve. Edible food is food that will tame the creature, but it's not the best for the specific creature. Favorite food is the food that will get the creature tamed in the least amount of time with the least amount of food eaten and the most bonus levels. Usually this would be a type of kibble, but not always, as there are some creatures that have specific diets. Kibble is the pet food of Ark. The word kibble is a real life word that means pet food. It's also made in a similar way than real life, although a lot easier. Most creatures will prefer kibble, although they will require a specific type of kibble. If any other types of kibble is used, it's less effective than using normal food. The last thing we will discuss is a perfect tame. A perfect tame is a creature that receives the max amount of bonus levels once tamed, meaning that if you lose taming effectiveness, the creature will lose levels and will end up not being a perfect tame. Bear in mind that the wild creature will get 50% levels of its wild level max without level 1, meaning a level 150 will receive 50% of 149 levels. That works out to about 74 levels. So in the next video we will play the game and do the breeding part while in game. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you inside the game next time.